Now we're going to be joined next by CharlieTHFC. Charlie, how are you getting on?
Oh, I'm all right, thank you, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and enjoying this stream, this deadline day. Look, just dive straight into things. We've missed out on Milan Skriniar. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, well, I mean, I said that I'm not as disappointed as I was last year with Dybala because the thing is, this year we've actually had a very good window compared to we've covered all the most problems that needed to be addressed. Like, I still think we need a centre back, but there was more serious problems in the squad to address. And I think, listen, Skriniar, he would have taken our defence 10 times levels higher. But still, with the signings of Reguilon, quality left back, bringing in that striker at last in Vinicius, that holding midfielder and Højbjerg, we've addressed problems that were big problems last season, and you can see, especially yesterday, what a win that was, by the way. You can see that the problems have been filled. There's been gaps that have been plugged, and I feel like in previous windows we haven't, like for example, last summer we spent a lot of money, but we were sort of like square pegs and round holes, just not enough. Gaps plugged. I can't get my words out today. But Skriniar, as I said, disappointing really. As I think he's an absolutely quality defender. I really do. But hopefully, as I reading something from the Athletic saying that we'll monitor the situation in January. So you never know. You never know.
That's good. Yeah. I'm seeing there from the Athletic they're talking about us potentially signing a centre back from Swansea and Joe Rodon. I can't say I've ever
it's
heard
just
of
come
him,
up on my thing as well.
Yeah, I think, look, if you get a centre back, it's better than not getting any centre back, which I suppose would be my opinion on our pursuit of Antonio Rudiger as well. He's, of course, a centre back with Premier League quality. Playing with Chelsea is one bad thing. The accusations he made against Tottenham fans last season, another bad thing. But I think we, as fans, we purely need to base this on his ability as a player and what he can actually add to the Tottenham team. So, do you think he'd be a good signing for us?
See, the thing is with Rudiger, I said this. With me, I was speaking to someone the other day. If we don't sign a centre back, we should wait for Skriniar. We shouldn't go for an alternative. And with Rudiger, not for me, I'll be honest. I don't know if you saw it when Chelsea lost 3-0 to Sheffield United last year. He was just terrible in that game, and I've never been a fan of Rudiger, to be honest. I don't think he's better than what we've got. I'd rather bring youth players up like Fagan. Fagan Walcott? I think it is. I think that's how you say it. Tanganga, of course, coming through. I'd rather bring those up because Rudiger, again, because of the stuff accusing our fans of being racist. And for me, I've just never really particularly liked him as a defender, to be honest. So I'll be honest, not for me. I think we should wait for Skriniar. I said that if you look at what Liverpool did when they couldn't get Van Dijk in the summer, they waited and got him. They had identified their targets and got him. So hopefully we can do something similar and just wait for Skriniar, because hopefully, as I said, we could go back for him in January, potentially next summer. So I think just wait for Skriniar, I think, when he comes available.
Yeah, no, I think it's Alistair Gold who's been saying, Skriniar almost feels like the last piece of the puzzle for Spurs. And while there was no desperation or we weren't overly keen on getting him in this window, it was always going to be if the deal was right, we'd do it. I do think there's still going to be an element of disappointment that we haven't got him in, but we, as you alluded to, we can't ignore the fact that we have had such a sensational transfer when we've Højbjerg turning out to be potentially the replacement we've been waiting for to get from Moussa Dembele. We've Reguilon, after a questionable start in the game against Chelsea, he's come out and been a fantastic player for us as well. And of course, Gareth Bale is still to add into this team. How would you rate our transfer window so far?
So I think in terms of rating out of 10, I'll probably give it a 9. Going to a 10 if we were to sign Skriniar, but a 9 is still very, very high. Absolutely fantastic, I think. Again, we've waited 14 months for a striker. We finally got one. We've waited, a year to replace Trippier properly. We finally got a right back. I think I said from the start, I know there was reports saying we weren't looking for a left back, but I've always said I think if we get the chance, we can upgrade on Ben Davies, and I think that we've done that with Reguilon definitely. And I think I've always said we needed a left back, so I think Reguilon was the one that I've always liked him. I think I watched him against Man U in this semi-final last year, and I think I said if we can get this guy, it'd be good, and we've got him. And yeah, I think it's been a fantastic window, probably the best that I can remember for a long time as a Spurs fan, because as a Tottenham fan, I'm sure you feel the same. When have we ever gone through a transfer window and said after we've done absolutely everything we needed to do? And there's it hasn't happened before that I can say. But again, probably one of the best transfer windows I've been through, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been we've kind of plugged all the holes that we've needed to in the team, bar centre back. But I think that was it wasn't the biggest of our concerns. I think getting in a backup striker was key. Getting in more options at full back was absolutely massive. And Bale, I wouldn't say it was a signing that we needed, but it's one that's going to have endless benefits for the club. As I was just saying to Scott, in terms of both the competition he offers, his ability on the pitch, but also the kind of mental aspect of things. And we have a manager now in Jose Mourinho who has won, I think, every competition he's actually competed in as a manager. We have Bale now, who's, as I said, one of the most successful active footballers in the world. Reguilon, who just won the Europa League last season. Are we building a team that can go on and win trophies consistently?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, of course, I get asked this a lot on my streams. I get asked, are we going to win the league this season? I said, I agree with you in a way that maybe this year it's probably a little bit too much of a push. I think we need to gel, get into things. But I'll be honest, with the signings we've made and the manager we do have, I do expect us to go on and win something this season. And I think, again, as I've said a lot, we need to end that trophy drought. It's been far too long for a club of our size, let's be honest. 12 years or something since the final against Chelsea at Wembley. It's been too long. And with the squad we've got, I think we're very capable of going on to win things like the Europa League, the Carabao Cup, which we're in the quarterfinals of now. I really do believe that with this squad that we've got some unbelievable depth, at least 2 players in each position now. It's unbelievable. I don't think I can ever remember a squad we've had which is this big with the amount of depth it's got. And I think, we can definitely go on and win something this year. But in terms of league titles and stuff, I think maybe you never know in football. But I mean, give it maybe a year or two, and then maybe we'll see where we are with that.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I know in the last maybe couple of days I've been slowly kind of leaning towards the fact that we may compete for the league this season, given how poorly Liverpool and City have started. But that Liverpool result yesterday was a shocking day for them.
Shocking day it was overall.
Yeah. But I suppose, looking into the future, we're attracting these players. I'm going to include Skriniar in this because he is someone who did want this move to happen. So we've attracted the likes of Bale, Reguilon, Skriniar, Carlos Vinicius, a player who has a lot of potential, and I think in years to come could have made his move to any team in Europe. So if we're in this position now as a Europa League team, next season, assuming we do get back into the Champions League, there's no telling the type of player that we can attract. And I think a league title is... As every day goes on, the more I think about this, I think it's becoming a likelihood more than a possibility in the next couple of years. So how far away do you think we are from really being that team that can go on and take away this sort of dominance in the league from Liverpool and City?
I mean, look, as I just said, I think we've got unbelievable squad depth at the moment. As I said with the league title, I'll be honest, I don't think we're as far away as we were this time last year, for example. I think, as I said, the signings we've made, I feel like, I know Liverpool and City have started poorly, but I just think that, again, they've been better than everyone else over the last couple of years. But I don't think we're that far off. I really do. I think potentially to go that one step further for the league, I think someone like Skriniar would be ideal for that, because I'm not sure I know Eric Dier's played very, very well in these last 2 games, and Davinson Sanchez as well. But the thing is, them two are both prone to mistakes. You saw Davinson Sanchez yesterday, the penalty he gave away, and Eric, with Eric Dier, we've seen it a lot. Although he has been playing well very recently, let me add. So I think maybe just that one world-class centre-back that we just need. I think we've got a team that's very, very capable of competing for the league very soon.
Yeah, it's a crazy sort of opinion to have as a Tottenham fan, but I think we're all in the same boat now that the league title isn't actually too far off, and that's down in no small part, of course, to Jose Mourinho. Not only the players he's managed to attract to the team, but even just looking at the last couple of days, these mind games that he does play, telling Chelsea they're going to play a weak team, and then telling United that Son is injured. How much of his winning mentality do you think is starting to shine through in this team? Even thinking the way Lamela got that red card for Martial, he was saying, we're not the nice guys on the pitch anymore. Can you finally see the effect, or can we finally see the effect that Mourinho is having on this team?
Well, look, I've said for multiple years of supporting Spurs, for as long as I have been, that there's been a mentality problem at the club. You've seen it even in the peak days of Pochettino. I still think there was just something there. There was something in us that was just making us bottle it and stuff. But now you can see what Mourinho is trying to do. You can see he's won everything there is to win. And I think from the start of this season, barring the Everton game, you can really see what he's doing. You can see after going goal down yesterday, hit back straight away. I know it was Maccabi Haifa, but getting back in front straight away. You can see I really do think he is changing the culture and mentality at this football club. And I think if in football, if you're going to win stuff, you need to have the right mentality. And I think you can see, as you said about Lamela yesterday, he that sort of sums up why Mourinho was saying in the documentary, like, nice guys don't win anything. And I think you can see it with Lamela. I know Lamela is who he is. Like, we've seen it multiple times, but I think you can see again, going back to last season, the fight between Son and Lloris at half time. You can see there is something definitely there, and I have noticed a massive change, and it's really good to see. And I think Mourinho, as I said, look, with Mourinho, since he was appointed, at the start, I wasn't a massive fan of his appointment. I was never Poch out. I was always behind Pochettino. But the thing is, with Mourinho, I always said when we were going through bad spells, like I think it was just before lockdown and stuff, I always said Mourinho will be a very successful manager at Tottenham if he's backed. If he's not backed, then there's no point in having Mourinho. But he's been backed this window, so I'm completely on the Jose bandwagon, and I think we're in for a very successful season this year.
I honestly agree with everything you're saying there. I was always patch in. I never wanted him to go. I was sceptical about Mourinho, but the tide is starting to turn now. And I think it's interesting that, like, as you say, I do agree Mourinho has been backed this window, but it hasn't needed to be a massive financial backing, I suppose, from Daniel Levy. Like, if you're looking at Pochettino's last window at the club, it was, I think, £140 million net spend, and we didn't get to see too much from that, I suppose, in the first season those players were at the club. But Mourinho, it's a different transfer kind of approach than we're used to seeing from him. It's not going out and spending 60, 70, 80 million on 3 or 4 world-class players. It's been such clever signings. It's been really kind of astute business done to get Højbjerg in for essentially £3 million and Kyle Walker-Peters. It's absolutely amazing. Are you surprised to see this sort of transfer approach from Spurs?
I mean, look, let's just say this. Before the window opened, when we were in, I don't know, like lockdown and stuff, I was very pessimistic going into this window because, as you've said a few times, we were being told that the only way we're going to sign players is if we sell players. And I think what's happened this window has been very smart. On a tight budget, due to all the pandemic going on around the world, which you can understand it's going to hit every club. So I think on a tight budget, we have done phenomenally. I really do. We've been absolutely phenomenal with the clever signings we've made. Of course, Højbjerg. Not a lot of people across the Premier League really rated him, but I've always said, I've watched him a few times for Southampton, and I think he's a destroyer. He's the type of player that we need in our midfield, and I think what we've seen, particularly yesterday, he was outstanding. As I said in my player ratings, he's really, really coming into his own at Tottenham. You can see why Mourinho was wanted to sign him, and I think very, very clever signing. 3 million plus Walker-Peters. Let's look at another one, Matt Doherty. I know he's not quite settled in just yet, but I think you could see what he can do at Wolves when he's in a more advanced position. He can score goals, he can get assists, and I think, yes, some very, very smart signings. You can even include Joe Hart in this. I think, look, I know he's not going to be a starter, but I think he's, of course, 3-time Premier League winner, won a load of domestic trophies as well. And I think you can see Alistair Gold saying after the friendlies and stuff, you can see how vocal he is down there, and I think he is a massive part of the mentality. I really do, changing the mentality at this club. If you look at all the players Mourinho's brought in, I think I might be wrong, but they've all won at least one league title in their domestic countries. I might be wrong, but I read it somewhere.
Yeah,
most of them. Yeah, most of them, maybe not all of them, but you can see with the signings we made, Reguilon was, again, that deal, it's 30 million, but it's being paid in installments, I'm hearing. So that's a very, very smart signing. Look, I know it's got a buyback clause. It's valid for 2 years. And also there's a hope around the club that he'll be happy. He won't want to go. He won't want to leave the club. And I think, again, even if the worst came to the worst, that they triggered the buyback clause, we'd still make a profit. And I think the signings we've made, Carlos Vinicius on loan with an option to buy of 30 million when they were asking for 60 million at the start. It's been fantastic business. And look, I've been a massive critic of Levy and the board and stuff, but I think you have to give him massive, massive credit this window. That's for sure.
Yeah, for definite. And I think we can sit here all day and talk about these incomings. We've made some outstanding signings. There's no doubt about that. But what I want to talk to you about is the departures or potential departures that we have seen over this summer. Looking at the main one is Dele Alli, and I think this whole sort of situation kind of surmises Jose Mourinho and the new manager that he is, because he told us he reinvented himself when he came into the job last November, and a lot of us were kind of sceptical, but we saw he brought in a whole new coaching staff, a lot more attacking, bringing in a number of people from Lille. He said he was a different person in himself, and he didn't really have a chance to show that to us. We were a bit with the Tonki and Doble situation, kind of saying, oh, this is the same as what happened with Pogba, it's the same as what happened with De Bruyne and Lukaku, all these players in the past that he has forced out of the club. But are we seeing with Dele Alli another effect of this new Jose Mourinho, in that things have gone poorly for Ali, his performances have been bad, he's been linked with the departure, there's been a bit of friction there between the manager and player, but essentially it has now ended up absolutely perfectly. We're keeping Dele Alli. Is this another benefit of this new Jose Mourinho?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way Ndombele's turned it around, I was saying at the end of last season, unfortunately, I thought he might actually end up going. And I've been one that always said we have to keep him because of the potential he's got. And luckily, we have kept him. You can see where he's turned his Tottenham career around. He's looked a lot happier. He is a lot happier. And again, yesterday was absolutely brilliant. And he's been brilliant for the last few games that he's played. Again, with Dele Alli, I mean, personally, I've been one that actually agreed with the decision to drop him, because if you look at the players ahead of him, for me, Ndombele moved ahead of him in that pecking order. Of course, Lo Celso is always going to be first because he's been outstanding for a while now. But if you're not playing well, you're not going to play. And I think it's from every level of football. You can go to non-league, you can go to grassroots, anything. It's a squad game. You have to fight for your place. And I think with Dele Alli, look, he played well against Haifa. I know it was Haifa, but maybe if he can get his ideas together, I think he's as we all know, he's a fantastically talented player. He really is. You can see what he can do, and it's just about him getting consistent and getting his fitness right. And I think he needs to look at Ndombele and because he can show how a club career can be turned around. And I think, look, Dele Alli, I think potentially a loan deal would be good for him. Maybe have a fresh start and go out on loan to another country, to PSG or something, and get a new chapter in his career, and then come back potentially to Tottenham and sort of re-energise himself. But look, we're keeping him now by the looks of it, and I think he'll definitely get more chances this year. There's no doubt about it. He'll get chances in games. There's no doubt, because we got a lot of games coming up this year. You got the Europa League, we're still in the Carabao Cup, and we got the FA Cup to come later. So there'll be a lot of chances in there for him. And I think, look, get his fitness right. Stop focusing on all the brand deals that he does and all the modelling, whatever it is. If he gets his head down, I think we can potentially see the Dele Alli we saw a few years ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, if he turns things around, I think we're even just adding further to this outstanding squad we've already assembled, and we've seen a few loan departures already in the last couple of days. We've seen Juan Foyth go out on loan to Villarreal with an option to buy there for £15 million. We've also seen Ryan Sessegnon go on loan to Hoffenheim. That's just a straight loan, there's no option to buy there. And we're hearing Jack Clark could potentially go out on loan in the next couple of days. How do you think these loan moves are going to fare for these players, kind of Ryan Sessegnon in particular, and how much do you think it can benefit Spurs?
I mean, look, I'll start with Ryan Sessegnon. I think, look, I've always liked him since when he was at Fulham, banging them goals in the Championship. I've always liked the look of him, and I was very, very pleased when we signed him, actually. But since he's joined the club, since he's come to the Premier League with Fulham, it hasn't really clicked for him yet. And I think maybe going out to a league like the Bundesliga will really sort of energise him, because I think you've seen players, Jadon Sancho, look what he's doing now. Even, I hate to say it, but Reiss Nelson from Arsenal, when he went to Hoffenheim, done very well there. So I think it's a fantastic move for him. Again, I heard they're a team that likes to play free at the back with wing backs, so it suits him very well. I think, yeah, he wasn't going to get, with the signing of Sergio Reguilon. Since then, I'd always expected him to go out on loan, and he's finally got that loan move, and I'm hoping that he'll get regular minutes, and he'll hopefully come back to Tottenham in much better shape and in much better. He'll have a lot more confidence, and yeah, I think it's a really good move for him. In terms of Juan Foyth, look, he's never been a player that's been in Jose Mourinho's plans. I know since he's got here, he's never really featured at all. Really, he played well in that game at Bayern Munich, and then we went to Norwich, and he made that terrible mistake. There's no doubt about that. Terrible mistake for that goal away at Norwich. And I think since then we haven't actually seen him play for the club. And look, I've been one that, I know there was talk of, like, I think it was the start of last season when we didn't replace Trippier. There was talk of us using Foyth as a fullback. And I mean, for me, I was never a fan of that. And I think at centre-back we were, I know last year Vertonghen, he's now left, but we were pretty well stocked there, and I think we still are. And I think he doesn't really, under Mourinho in particular, Foyth's a very technical player. He's not he's not as physical as most centre-backs are, and I think he doesn't really suit the way we play at the moment. So I think a loan move, look, I know it has an option to buy, but we'll still make a profit on him. But I think he's going to be a good player in the future. I do. Whether that's at Tottenham, it probably won't be. But I think it's going to be good for him. I hope that he can get his confidence going, get regular minutes out there in La Liga. And I think it's a fantastic move for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's all about first team minutes, and with Foyt, whether he ends up making that move permanent for Villarreal, I think it's a win-win situation for us, because if he comes back, we have that extra choice. But if not, we're getting a bit of deadwood out of our team. And as for Sessegnon, I think he is still a very exciting player. He hasn't had the best start to his time at Tottenham, which is of course disappointing. But I think for him, having seen us bring in Reguilon and Bale and even Vinicius this season, and players that can play in his position, it was a major setback for him. And I think it was important that we did get him out on loan and didn't have him kind of sitting around the fringes of the squad waiting for an appearance here for an injured player there, or an appearance here for a suspended player there, which essentially is what he did last season. And that's never good for any young player, especially one who has been a first team player in a Premier League team before. So I think it's Sessegnon going out on loan. It's a very clever bit of business. And as you said, Hoffenheim, it's the system they play. We heard from Ralf Rangnick, the former RB Leipzig manager, today, when he was saying it's a brilliant deal for all teams involved. And Hoffenheim, even in Europe this season, it's going to be that extra sort of experience for Sessegnon, which I think is going to help him absolutely massively, and he could potentially become an even better player for us in the future, and someone that could be a consistent first team player for us. And aside from that, I think there's not much business left for Tottenham this window. Just seeing this news again about, I think, Joe Rodon, I can't even remember his name, from Swansea.
Yeah, the Swansea defender. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know anything about him by any chance?
Well, look, the Championship, I watch the odd game every now and then when it's on Sky and stuff, but I haven't heard of him myself.
I haven't either, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Yeah. So look, if it's a player that the club have identified, if it's a player Mourinho's identified, I suppose we have to get behind the signing as much as we can. And it looks as though Rudiger is off. The Daily Mirror reporting it won't be happening, and it's just, as every hour that passes, it looks less and less likely that we will get one of those deals over the line. But of course, with Joe Rodon, the EFL window remains open until the 16th of October. So hopefully, there's definitely scope for that deal to be completed. The only downside there is if he isn't registered by tomorrow, he won't be able to play in any European fixtures. But I can't imagine he would have been high up the pecking order in that anyway. And look, Charlie, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Matt, as well. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Some great insight there into the Tottenham squad and stuff. So
make sure everyone watching, check me out on YouTube. I'm trying to get to 1K as soon as possible. So
everyone go over there, CharlieTHFC, make sure to subscribe.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. See you, Charlie.